Hey everybody, this is Ted Check, recovering reporter. Here we go. The delusional mainstream media. Apparently, they're still not getting it. This is from newsbusters.org. Washington Post, quote, cannot abide by Trump's wish for a quote unquote compliant news media. Okay, so right off the bat, I'm not even going to go any further. Right off the bat, I don't think that that's what he wants. I don't think he wants a compliant news media. I don't think anybody gives the media more opportunities than Trump. If you look at it objectively, if you look at it without any bias, he understands the job that they have. He just wants to be treated fairly. I think that's it. If I'm to interpret where he's coming from, he just wants to be treated fairly. He wants an even playing field. He doesn't want a media that's attacking him constantly and not attacking anybody else. Hey, why don't you go after these guys over here or over there? Why is it always me? You know, if you look at Newsbusters does a good job of examining this, where they'll take a look at an issue and they'll say, oh well, it was 97% of a leftist leaning thing and only 3% for a right leaning. You know, like they'll examine how the media covered a particular issue. They do a really good job of that. So clearly they haven't learned, at least according to the Washington Post. 2 days before Christmas, the Washington Post published a column by one of its own, Post columnist Eugene Robinson. And the headline was, "We cannot abide," I still think there should be an "by" there. "We cannot abide by," I don't know, Donald Trump's wish for a compliant news media. So yeah, he's wrong from the jump. Anyone who doubts the incoming Trump administration posing a serious threat to independent journalism has not been paying attention. An attack is already underway. Ooh. Melodramatic, maybe? And we journalists must not allow ourselves to be intimidated. Must stand firm. He's going about it the wrong way. It's like Trump has these free-for-alls. Well, he'll take any and every question that you've got for him. Biden didn't do that. Kamala Harris didn't do that. I mean, come on. What more could you ask for with the media? Yeah, is he planning on putting some independent and citizen journalists in amongst all the other mainstream media guys for the White House gaggle, if you will, the press corps? Yeah, he's planning on doing that, and well, he should, because that's where people are turning. People are taking their time and their money, and they're going elsewhere. They're leaving the mainstream media. That's why they're hemorrhaging viewers and readers, and ultimately money. Robinson's got it completely backwards. The Washington Post and its allies in the so-called mainstream media are anything but about independent journalism. They are central players in what is much more accurately known as the liberal media. It's entirely true. They themselves are the compliant ones. How do they? Please argue that. Eugene Robinson, anybody at the Washington Post, I dare you to argue that. Let us see what you say to counter that. You can't. There's no possible way you could counter that. Well, excuse me. They themselves are the compliant ones who have long ago abandoned independent journalism to take sides, one side, in the political arguments of the day. Yeah, I mean, clearly, 100% just about, or 97%, or whatever you prefer. Take a look at this headline right here. More Washington Post staffers resign over paper's failure to endorse Kamala Harris. They shouldn't be endorsing anybody. You shouldn't be endorsing anyone. There's no more clear-cut way to show which way you lean than for a paper to endorse a particular political candidate. If you want to play things down the middle, if you want to be totally objective, if you want to practice true journalism, don't endorse anybody. That's not your job. Your job is not to endorse anyone. I believe we face a real threat of autocracy in the candidacy of Donald Trump, said Hoffman, David Hoffman, who was one of the editorial board members, who resigned in disgust. Then we've got, let's see here, this other person, Roberts, Molly Roberts. I'm resigning from the Post editorial board because the imperative to endorse Kamala Harris over Donald Trump is about as morally clear as it gets. See, that's the problem. That is the problem. This is what's being taught in colleges and universities, is this moral high ground, this moral latitude that journalists are given where they get to pick a side and advocate for that in their articles. No, that is not what a journalist is meant to do. A journalist is meant to lay things out there for people, lay it all out there, all the sides, this side, that side, every side. You lay it all out there for people, objectively, fairly, as balanced as you can possibly humanly be, and then you let the people use their critical thinking to take it any further, or to form their own opinions, or to use that as the jumping off point to conduct further research and investigation. That's the problem with journalists. That's what it's evolved into. That's what it's mutated into. Is this morally clear as it? No, you don't have any. You're not above anybody else. That's the problem. That's where the media erred, and that is the big mistake that they made, is when they thought they were better than the American people, when they thought they knew better, when they thought they were going to be able to tell the American public who and what and how to think. That's the problem. That is the big mistake that you made, and now you're paying for it in terms of readers, viewers, and ultimately money. And that's why we're having massive layoffs in the media. So there you go. That is it in a nutshell. But clearly, some of the mainstream media still don't get it. The Washington Post, their owner got it. Jeff Bezos. He told them the directive came from on high. It came from Bezos himself. He said, "You're not going to endorse anybody. You're not going to. I know you want to endorse Kamala. You're not going to endorse her. You're not going to endorse Donald Trump. You're not going to endorse anyone." I mean, and if you want to say, "Wow, geez, he's trying to curry favor with Donald Trump," then maybe he would have told his editorial board to endorse Donald Trump. But he didn't do that. He said, "Don't endorse anybody. It's not what we're about." And the same thing goes for the owner of the LA Times. He told his editorial board the same thing. Don't endorse anybody. It's not what we're about. That's not what a newspaper is about. That's not what the media is about, or shouldn't be. Shouldn't be. They've fallen into that trap for far too long, and it's time to redirect. It's time to correct that. The pendulum has swung too far one way. Now it's time, as most things do, when it swings too far one way, you got to swing it back the other way towards some type of middle ground. And I think that's the paradigm shift that we're seeing here. And the bottom line is money. Bottom line is money. Bezos knows. He looks at it. He's like, "Oh crap! Washington Post is losing a lot of money. We got to do something," because they've had a lot of forced layoffs, forced buyouts, and layoffs. You want to correct that? Correct what it is you do. Correct the way that you gather and report the news. And there you go, report it. Just report the news. Don't take a moral high ground and say, "Oh, this is what you should think. This is the way it should be." No, you don't have that. Who are you to think you're better than somebody else? It's not the way I was taught. Somewhere along the line, it failed, and this other ideology, some people call it wokeism, whatever it is, it crept into the way that journalism is being taught. Because in the early to mid '90s, when I was taught, this was not going on. No, true journalism was being taught at that time, and sometime after that, it got mutated. But man, I'm all fired up. Yeah, because some of them still don't get it, and you know what? They may not ever get it. These two people, David Hoffman, Molly Roberts, they left. They'll probably never get it. This guy up here, Eugene Robinson, probably never get it. Will probably never understand it. Can't fathom it. They just, their brain just is on self-destruct because they just can't understand it, can't grasp it. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Let me know yours, and I will talk to you later.